Hi and welcome to or back to my channel. If you're new here, my name is Shay and I'm an American who has been living in Bologna, Italy. Today's video is going to be super casual, just a little story time. I want to explain everything that happened this summer regarding getting my new visa, my experience at the Los Angeles Consulate, because I want to share this story with all of you so you know all of the crazy details and how absolutely insane it was, and spoiler alert, why my visa was denied. So if you follow me on other social media, you already know because I posted that my visa was denied. But today we're gonna go through the whole story, so grab a little snack, clean your room, do your makeup, whatever. This is gonna be a very chatty story of everything that went down this summer. So for some context, I was applying for the digital nomad visa for Italy because I currently have a remote job and I basically met all of the requirements. So I was like, this visa is perfect for me. So I went back home to the US in June because my permesso di soggiorno expired. So obviously I had to leave Italy. So when you get a new visa, you have to go back to your home country to get it. You can't just like switch in Italy. So I went back home to the US, but home technically for me is Arizona. This time I went back to Florida because my mom has a place there. So I was in Florida. A week later, I had my appointment at the Los Angeles Consulate for the digital nomad visa. I made this appointment, I think in like March or April, so months in advance because you have to. You can't book an appointment for like the next week. And it takes a long time to actually get an appointment because booking an appointment is near impossible. And I had to check every day for, I don't know, at least a month or something to actually book an appointment. So it's a very difficult process. So I was very lucky to even get an appointment. So at this point, I'm in Florida and I have to take a flight from Florida to LA because I don't live in LA. My residence is in Arizona, which is why I had to go to LA because you can't just choose whatever consulate you want to go to. I had to go to Los Angeles because that covers parts of California, Arizona, some other states. So I had to go to Los Angeles. If you are not familiar with the Italian consulates in the US, Los Angeles is notoriously one of the worst, like the most strict, the most terrible. I had already been to the consulate for 2 other visas. I got my study abroad visa there and then my study visa when I came here initially to study Italian. So I've already been there before. I know what it's like. I knew what to expect. It's a terrible place. So I show up for my appointment. First of all, the security guard there, terrible, terrible man. Like truly terrible, rude guy for no reason. I show up there. The Los Angeles Consulate has moved to a different office since years ago when I had my other appointment. So it was already a new office. I was like, I don't know exactly how this works. I walk down the hallway. I see like these glass doors. I could see that there's people inside, but no one's really looking at me. And I have my appointment time and I see that there's a little bell, like a little button for a bell that you can ring. So I'm like, okay, I'm already super nervous. I don't want to be late or. So I'm kind of hesitating because I'm like, should I ring the bell or should I not? But then again, they could say like, why don't you ring the bell? So it's like going back and forth in my mind, what should I do? Especially because in Italy, if there's like a little bell, little citofono, usually you push it. That's usually how it works in Italy. And so in my mind, I was like, oh, it's probably like that, where if you need service or help or whatever, you just press the bell. I pressed the bell. Do not press the bell if you go to the Los Angeles Consulate. I was talking to another girl who had her appointment after me and I didn't tell her about this and she said she did the same thing and she's like, oh my God, I shouldn't have done that. This security guard comes running out, yelling, why did you ring the bell? Why did you ring the bell? And I was already so nervous. I was like, there was no one here. He's like, can't you see I'm right here? And I was like, well, no, no, like clearly you weren't. And he was like, I'll come out when I'm ready or something like that. He walks back through the glass doors with his back to me. And I swear he's just like on his phone, like he's looking down at something and he waits for a few minutes, turns back around and comes out. Like, I think he was just being petty. It was wild. It was so wild. He was so angry. And he's like, why did you ring the bell? Tell me, why did you ring the bell? I was like, damn, okay. I was like, sorry. So already off to a bad start. Then he comes out to this little like podium thing. And I'm waiting because I'm like, I'm going to let him tell me he's ready because I'm not going to walk up and have him yell at me again. So he's standing there looking down and I'm just standing there. And he goes, okay, passport? Sir, like, all right. At this point, I was also just pissed off because I'm like, can you just use your words and communicate with me? Like, what did I do that makes you such an asshole from the beginning? Literally, I just showed up for my appointment. And so I give him my passport. He's all mad at me because I showed up like 20 minutes early for my appointment. And he was like, it's too early. Come back 5 minutes before your appointment. You can't wait here. Go downstairs. I was like, okay. So I went downstairs in the lobby and just waited. And then when I come back up there, again, this time he was waiting at the podium thing. You know, I didn't say anything. And he was like, yes, what do you want? And then I was like, oh, I'm here for my appointment. And he goes, okay, yeah, I remember. So I give him my passport again. He says, I need your phone, because I guess now they take your phone or something. So I give him my phone and he goes, off, turn it off. Again, if you just tell me all these things from the beginning, I will do it. How am I supposed to know that my phone is supposed to be off? You just said, give me your phone. Okay, here's my phone. I'm like turning it off, giving it to him. He puts it in a little box, gives me a little key. I finally get into my appointment and sit down. Luckily, they call me within a few minutes. I'm not even waiting that long. I step up to the window and the guy goes, okay, student ID, ID. And I was like, student ID? I'm not here for, and he was like, you're not here for a student visa? When you book an appointment, you put what type of visa you're going for. So I chose the digital nomad option. And I'm like, okay, fine. Maybe he didn't look at the paper, my name or whatever. I think he just assumed looking at me that I looked like someone who was going to study. It's like, no, I'm here for the digital nomad visa. He's like, okay, give me what you have. I give him all the papers that I have. I had everything plus more because they always ask for more. He's looking through stuff. He pulls up the requirements, the website on his own computer. And he says to me, this visa's only for IT and software people. I literally said to him, no, it's not. Because I had been talking with people. I connected with people on social media who did similar things to me, or not software or IT things, who are literally living in Italy right now on this visa. So he was clearly just making stuff up. And then he started reading the requirements and he goes, well, where's your 5 years of experience? And I'm like, what are you talking about? And he's reading the website and he shows me. And I'm like, show me where it says that, because I've read this page probably more than 100 times, the list of requirements. And he says, here. And I said, okay, this is the list of options, because there's like 2 or 3 ways to prove that you are a highly qualified or skilled worker or something like that. And one of them is getting your degree recognized through CIMEA, which is like basically Italy's document of certifying that you have a higher degree. So I did it for my bachelor's degree for USC, and I got the document that cost 150 euros, by the way. So you can choose these options, or one of the options, if you don't have a degree or something, you can show like 5 years of experience through like letters from past employers or certification, stuff like that. But you can choose one of these options. You don't have to do all of them, at least for Los Angeles. And so I was explaining this to him because I was like, sir, at this point, I know better than you. Like, I've studied this website much longer. And I was explaining to him like, oh no, I did the CIMEA option. He was like, okay. He's looking through stuff, he disappears. He comes back, looks through more stuff, disappears. I hear him like talking to someone else. Comes back, you know what he says to me? Yeah, so our expert, he's not here in the office today. Okay. So there's no one here who can review my documents for this visa? He goes, no, we usually have someone else review these documents for this visa, so you'll have to come back. I'll have to come back. I booked this appointment months in advance. You knew, you could see that I booked this for the digital nomad visa. And you're saying there's no one in this entire office that can review my documents for this visa. So I said, what? And then there's another woman who came over. Also forgot to mention, at this point, we're doing this whole thing in Italian. And this guy even said that my Italian was very good. He like complimented me. So I was feeling pretty good about all this. This other woman comes over and she's like, yeah, you know what? The guy will be back in the office next week. So you can send your documents in and he can review them. Oh, actually, no, wait, because you still need to do your fingerprints, because in January of this year, they changed the rules that now you need to do fingerprinting at your appointment. So they're like, so you will have to come back here to LA. You can't just like send in your documents. And even though I explained to them that I don't live in Los Angeles, and they were like, sorry, you know. And so I said, okay. So what do I do? And he goes, we will contact you, don't contact us. Now, I've been living in Italy for over 3 years. I know for a fact that when I walked out those doors, they would never contact me. They would never, ever contact me. Like, I just know how it works in Italy. If someone says they'll contact you within a week or a few weeks, they never will. You'll never hear from them ever again. I, in that moment, don't know why I didn't push harder to just be like, please review my documents or something, you know? Like, I think I really was, I should have gotten like, I don't know, a personal email or something, but I was just really upset and frustrated. And I was also like, well, it's their fault. Like, I did what I could. But at the same time, I was just pissed because I'm like, what am I going to do? And yeah, in the moment, I guess I should have pushed harder to be like, no, review my documents now. I'm here. Yeah, so they said, oh, he'll be back next week. And so you should hear from us next week. I was like, probably won't, but whatever, maybe a week or two, like it'll be fine. So I walk out of my appointment. Also, forgot to mention at this point, I hear the security guard talking to people who are Italians, I guess, because he's speaking to them in Italian. And he's like, all smiles, all, you know, haha, so funny, so nice. So clearly he has a thing for young people who he thinks don't speak Italian or are students or something, which, like, why would you be mean to those people? We're just young kids who want to go study. Like, why? Yeah, so clearly he has some prejudice against certain people. So I remembered this for the next time I came in, because the next time I realized I'm going to just immediately speak Italian to him and see what happens. You'll see what happens. But he definitely treats people very differently, I think, based on, not even if you can speak Italian, because you'll see in the next time I go back, when I speak Italian, he was still rude. But I think also what people look like. Like, I think he immediately judges young kids who are students. He just immediately mean to them. Anyways, so I leave the office. Super upset because I'm like, what am I gonna do? I have no confirmation that I'll be able to come back, like no date, no nothing. So that was June 18th that I had my first appointment. I waited a week or two. I gave it like a week, didn't hear anything. Followed up, I think after about 10 days, and was like, hey, by email, explaining the situation. Nothing. Throughout the whole summer, I was emailing pretty much every week. I tried a bunch of different emails because they have like the specific email for the visa office and then just the general consulate. I also emailed, I had ChatGPT help me find some offices in Italy that I could reach out to, like that manage visas and, I don't know, international stuff or whatever, that I reached out to as well, like more official stuff to try to get them involved, but I didn't hear back from them at all. Because also the Los Angeles Consulate has 1 hour a week every day, except Wednesdays or something, where you can call and they will answer your questions. That time is from 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. So I spent an hour every once in a while on hold listening to that stupid classical music. They never pick up. I think it's a joke. I think it's like, because 12 p.m. to 1 p.m., that's lunch break, in my opinion. I think it's a joke. I don't think they ever actually pick up, because I tried multiple times, sat on the phone for an hour, never picked up. So you have no way of contacting them. It's insane. I even tried to reach out to the honorary consulate of Phoenix in Arizona to try to get them to help me somehow or see if they could do something. They responded right away, but they were basically like, yeah, we can't help you. We don't do this kind of stuff, which, like, I get, because I'm sure they get people who want to try to contact LA and try to contact them instead. But at least they responded right away. At least they're on top of it. But yeah, it was like, okay, well, it was worth a shot. Emailed. All of June, July. When I got to August, I started scheduling emails on Gmail because I forgot you could do that. So I started scheduling emails every day. I played around with different subject lines to see if like maybe a certain subject line would get their attention. Like A/B testing subject lines. My marketing brain. Yeah, scheduled emails every day. Finally, in August, so end of August, I get a response. I'm in Arizona at this point because for August I was already going to be in Arizona. And they say, okay, we've reviewed your documents again and we request some other documentation. So they requested a bunch more financial documents, last 3 years of tax returns, last year of all my bank statements, everything. Another work contract, because I guess they didn't like the contract that I sent them previously. I don't know. They were like, you need to show exactly how much you make? And I was like, I did. That was in the contract, but I just feel like they didn't read. So already I'm like, I feel like they're suspicious or they don't think I make enough or something, because this was a lot of documents that they were asking for. So I sent all of those over. They took another week to respond to me. I had to follow up and be like, hey, did you see these? Like, because at this point we're getting through August. I'm supposed to go back to Italy September 13th. So I have to take into account time to go back to Los Angeles, time to wait for my passport to get back to me, you know, because you leave your passport at the consulate. I'm like, hello, you know, we got to move things along, because if I go to the consulate in September, like, I'm probably not going to get it back in time. So finally he responds when I'm on vacation with my boyfriend. We were doing a road trip in Arizona. So we were in the Grand Canyon at this point, and I finally get a response from him. And he goes, okay, thank you for sending the documents. Can you come back for an appointment this day? And it was like a few days from that email. I don't live in Los Angeles. Like, to ask someone, oh, can you just come back, you know, a few days from now? Like, buy a flight, come back, as if it's so easy, when I've been emailing you all summer. All summer. So I said no. Because at this point I also was like, even if I could, I wanted them to work around my schedule, because that's just what they've done already is just so crappy. But also, when they asked me to come back was when my sister was going to be visiting me in Arizona, which I never get to see her. I see her maybe once a year. So at this point, it's like they're totally screwing me over, because one, I have to buy a whole new flight and everything and go back there. Two, I'm going to miss some time with my sister that's really special to me. Like, they're just screwing me over in so many ways. But I have to do this because I don't have a choice. Like, if I want to get my visa, I'm running out of time, like I said. So they said something like, oh, can you do the 27th of August? And I said, like, no, I'll do the 29th or something. They said, va bene. Their emails are so short. They don't provide any detail. They don't really answer questions if you ask more than one question. Super not helpful. So also it's like, okay, he said, you know, you can come on this date. And I'm like, okay, what time? Like, no further details. So book a new flight, which is expensive, because getting a flight to LA like a few days or a week before, very expensive, so more wasted money. So fast forward to my second appointment. So this time I have my appointment. In the first email, when he said, oh, the 27th, he said I could come like around 9 a.m. But he said he doesn't know exactly what time, because it's like an added appointment, you know, informal, like not an official thing. So already I'm pretty sure I'm gonna run into trouble when I go back for my appointment, because it's not like an official appointment. So I already know I'm like, this is gonna be a problem for sure, especially for everyone's favorite security guard. So I walk in, and the security guard is already arguing with these two women, because one woman is a friend, I guess, and wants to come in, and the security guard's like, no, no one else can come in. This guy's really on a power trip. Like, at the end of the day, he's a security guard in a consulate office. Like, it's whatever. So then when it gets to my turn, he says, do you have your appointment confirmation page? I'm like, oh God, here we go. Because I do not have one, because it's not an official appointment. So I say, I need to mention, immediately speaking in Italian from this point. Starting in Italian, starting strong. No, I have an added appointment at 9 a.m. today. Just trying to keep it as simple as possible, you know? He starts looking at his sheet. He just goes, no. This is so funny to me, because Italians do this all the time. If they think that they're right, they don't know something, whatever, they just say no. No, like, explanation. You can't explain anything to him. Just no. I said, I was emailing with somebody because I needed to return since I never finished my first appointment. He literally goes to me, no, go away. Like, vai via. Guys, normally I'm a very shy person. I lost my... Because I was already so nervous for this appointment, but the rage that took over my body, because at this point, they have screwed me over. They have left me hanging all summer. They made me come back here. I paid ridiculous amount of money to get another flight back here, you know, send them extra documents, come back here for a second appointment when it was their fault. They didn't have anyone in the office who could review my documents. I was beyond pissed. And also, I don't know where this Italian came from, because I was just like, enraged. I pull up the email chain. I'm saying to him, I have an appointment at this date. I was talking with this person, which also they don't sign their email names. It just said MT, which like they don't actually share their names, which is really funny because I guess they don't want to have anyone who, you know, like takes responsibility or blame for anything. So they don't share their names. They just sign it like initials. And so I'm showing him, I'm like shoving my phone in his face because I'm like, you know, listen to me. Like, I'm so sick of this asshole. He goes like, who's MT? Who's MT? And I was like, oh, I'd love to know, you know, like I would also love to know who this MT is. So we're going back and forth. He keeps saying, no. He says, because he saw the first email where they said the 27th. Look here, the 27th. It's the 29th. You're wrong. It's the wrong day. And I was like, does this man really think I'm such an idiot that I didn't know what day it was? Pissed. I get so pissed. I'm like, look at the email here, 29, not like I'm just yelling. I don't know how you would say it. Like there's carabiniere, which is like, I don't know, not quite a police officer, but they're like a uniformed person and way more official than this random security guard. This guy comes out because he's like trying to figure out what's happening. So finally this man takes my phone, reads it. They're both talking to each other. And then finally this man asks me for my passport, looks through it, disappears, talks to another woman with this clipboard. And he says, okay, she can come in. The fact that the security guard was about to send me away because I didn't have an official appointment and didn't bother to just like check. Like I'm sure they might have had it written down somewhere. Obviously this woman with the clipboard was on board with this stuff. But it's also like if you're going to have an added appointment, maybe put it on the list of appointments that day, you know, to like avoid this problem. But there's just no organization whatsoever in that office. But also, if I wasn't someone who was confident enough or angry enough to push through and be like, no, I do have an appointment, I would have just been sent away and walked away and not had my fair appointment. You know, like, it's just so frustrating that they have this security guard who's so rude that someone in my situation, maybe if they don't speak Italian or they're not as angry or as persistent as me, would just, miss out on their appointment. I mean, it's just terrible. So already I was like shaking because I was so angry. Get in there. Second appointment. Waiting for a little bit. There's like people in the waiting room and I hear them talking. There's this one woman who was like, I prayed before this because I was so scared. I've heard these appointments are terrible. Just like so funny. And then this other woman comes into the waiting room like around the corner and she says something along the lines of like, wow, that guy's a real treat or something, you know, talking about security guard, and everyone just kind of like laughs because we're all like, yeah, what the hell is his problem? So we're all just like commiserating in there together. I mean, it's a terrible place. It's terrible. Finally, they call me up. You know who was reviewing my documents? The same guy who told me a few months ago that he doesn't know how to review these documents. I almost wanted to be like, oh, looks like they finally trained you. You know? He has the audacity, because I think he remembers me, about the audacity when I walk up to the window. He immediately starts speaking Italian, so I think he remembered me because usually they speak to people in English first. He goes, come va? I was like, così, like, so. I mean, come va? What, are we friends? How's it going? I don't want to be here, sir. I will say he was nice enough because I've had some officers who reviewed documents who were just pretty mean from the beginning, like for no reason. He was pretty nice when it comes to like officers reviewing your documents. Starts looking through all my stuff. He starts looking through my tax returns and he asked me why 1 year is like a lot lower and 1 year is a lot higher. I was like, oh, the higher year is when I was still working in Los Angeles, so I was obviously making a lot more money than I do now. And then the year after, like I was in Bologna, so I wasn't working as much. I mean, I was basically a student. So I just explained that to him. He was like, oh, okay. I don't remember if he honestly asked me any other questions. It was pretty much just like this document, handed him this, handed him that, handed him whatever I had. I also need to mention that I don't just work one job. I have a part-time ongoing job, so I have a contract for that. But then I also have a few other contracts because I have regular clients for content creation, but it's not like I make the same amount every single month. So I have a few different contracts and invoices and stuff, and I think that's kind of confusing for them because I think for them it's easier if you just have one remote job and you make this money and this exact amount. Like they really want to see the exact salary you're going to have. But I mean, it fluctuates for me. I'm a freelancer and a digital nomad probably most of us are, like if we're freelancing and we're making different incomes from different projects. Like I just feel like they don't fully understand what a digital nomad is, or like how all of that works, or freelancing in general. So he seemed kind of confused when I was telling him about my work stuff. And then he tells me, so I have to submit a USPS envelope to get my passport sent back to me with the visa in it. So he says to me, which this is nice, he says, oh, we've had some problems recently with USPS. I recommend you get a FedEx envelope because unfortunately a lot of people's passports have gone missing or been stolen if they use USPS. So I was like, okay, well, I can't have any other bad stuff happen to me in this whole process, so whatever, I'll get a FedEx envelope. So he goes, yeah, there's a FedEx 5 minutes down the street, just get your envelope, you can come back in here. I was like, can I? Like, let me make sure they're gonna let me back in because I don't wanna get back here and be told I can't, whatever. So he disappears, he goes, yeah, I just told them when you come back in. Okay, great, give them all my stuff, pay for everything, you know, all the documents are submitted. Go to FedEx, it's 5 minutes by car, but like 20 minutes walking because I don't have a car there. But I mean, it's fine. It's fine. I just was like kind of worried about, okay, by the time I get there and then come back, it was like an hour. So I want to make sure that they knew I was still coming, you know? So I come back, come up again to the security guard. The security guard just doesn't listen to you. I'm holding the envelope. I say, oh, sorry, forgot this part. The guy at my officer said, when you get here, just give it to the carabiniere because he has an office. Like literally he's just right there at the entrance. You don't even need to like fully go in through the doors and the security thing. He just has the window right there. So he said, just drop it off at the carabiniere. Like you don't have to come back in. So the security guard is there, obviously. I walk up to him and I say, you know, I have this. I just need to give it to the officer here. I don't need to come in. He's talking over me and telling me to come in. I said, I don't need to come in. You know what he says to me? Something like, I don't know, he was talking about somebody else and he was joking, laughing and smiling like I'm his friend. Now we're joking around, I guess because I speak Italian or he's seen me enough or something. And he says something like, oh, no one ever listens to me. It's like, funny you should say that, sir. He goes something like, no one ever listens to me and I'm the only actual Italian in this office. And I was like the only Italiano vero. And I was like, what are you talking about? But then I was just, you know, playing along with his game. I was like, oh, from where? And he was like, Roma. And I was like, he's laughing, looking at me, smiling, this man. What the hell? Because I guarantee you if I ever went back there, he wouldn't remember me and he would immediately be an asshole to me. But I guess this day he decided we were friends. I was like, I'm not about to be friends with this man. You're a terrible person. So I was just like, I go back in there. Everyone's like, what do you need? What do you need? I said, I actually just needed to leave this with the officer. You know, again, repeating the same thing. And she goes, okay, wait, who is the guy reviewing your paper? I said, I need to leave it. Because also at this point, the carabiniere like wasn't there anymore because he's kind of doing his rounds and whatever. And I was like, oh my God, like no one listens to me. Because she said, oh, who was the guy reviewing your paperwork? I said, I don't need to give it to him. Like, it's so for Italian, they don't listen to you. They don't even, you're saying these things and they don't listen to you. Finally, I see the carabiniere. He walks in, he goes, oh. I give him my thing. Everyone looks at him and they're like, oh. And it actually makes me insane. It makes me insane that no one listens. No one listens. And I'm like, that's all I needed to do. And he was like, thanks, have a good day. So it doesn't even matter if you speak Italian, they still won't listen to you. Anyways, now the worst part of the story. So I had my appointment end of August, obviously. So I have about 2 weeks to get my passport back because I gotta leave. I have a flight, you know? So basically I had an envelope that was supposed to be a 2-day envelope. So I calculated it like, okay, if I don't get my passport, or if I don't get the email that my envelope is tracking by the 11th or 12th or 11th, I think, I gotta contact them. Like I gotta see what's up, you know? Because then I was talking with a lot of people and they were like, oh, or there's a Facebook group I was in and they were saying, oh, I got my visa back 1 week after the appointment or 2 weeks after the appointment. It was pretty fast turnaround. So I felt like, okay, I'll probably be okay, especially because at my appointment, I submitted my flight itinerary and the guy even highlighted it. He highlighted the date of my itinerary. So I'm like, they have to know that my flight is the 13th of September or 14th. I can't remember. Something around then. The day that I marked as the day that I need to reach out to them if I don't hear anything was the day I got an email while I was on the beach saying that they denied my visa application. And I immediately started freaking out. I started crying. I read the email, or just like the first few sentences, and like threw my phone in my boyfriend's face because I was like, he needs to read this. And I literally like fell onto the sand just crying because I was like, what am I gonna do? Like, terrible, terrible. Also, when I saw that there was an email from them, I knew something was wrong because they do not email you unless they need something else or something's wrong. Normally you just get sent your passport. So immediately I was like, this is not a good sign. What it said was that my income did not meet the requirement, which is about, I think, like $28,000, 29 or something, which is so not true because I've already earned above that for this year, you know? So it makes me frustrated because I don't know what they were going off of. Or another frustrating thing is that being a freelancer, a lot of times I don't get payments until months after my project. So unfortunately, like, for example, right after my appointment in September, I got huge payments for all of these videos that I made at the beginning of the summer. And it's like, maybe if that was in my bank account, it would have been the extra push. Like, I don't know how they calculated what I had made. Also, I think that they were like, they said, okay, we want a salary for your part-time job. I was like, I'm not salaried though. I do work hourly, but I work part-time. So my boss basically was like, here, I'll give you this contract where it says, you know, what you could potentially make if you work 20 hours a week at your hourly rate. But of course I don't hit that because I don't always hit 20 hours a week. So maybe they saw that and they were like, oh, it doesn't add up or something. Even so, I feel like they were only focused on that job too, which honestly, I make more from my like content creation stuff, which I also included those contracts or like the scope of work kind of thing. But those I get paid, you know, per video I make, but sometimes I do 3 videos a month. Sometimes I do 2, sometimes only 1, you know, like it changes again every month. And I feel like they need a set number. What's your salary? And I'm like, well, it's not like that. But I will say that the money, I have a tracking sheet. The money that I've already made for this year, even since I guess August or September, I should have already been above that minimum. I definitely make more than $28,000 a year, but it's not super high. Like it's not, I'll just say it's not above like 60 or 70. Like I don't, I don't make that. I'm living here in Italy. I don't make that anymore. I used to make that like living in Los Angeles, but not anymore. And so I don't know, honestly, if they're just looking for people who make a ton of money, because one girl I was talking to who got her visa from LA said she makes over or around like 100K a year. So I guess if you make a lot, they immediately just say, okay, here's your visa. But I guess they were worried about what I made. When it's funny because it's like I've been living in Italy for the last 3 years and I've been fine. I've been great on the income that I've been making. So I don't know what they were worried about. Like they're worried about people not making enough and then not being able to live in Italy or getting stuck there. I have no idea. But I've already been living here and I've been fine with my income. And each year I've been making a little bit more. So like we're only going up from here, you know? I think also maybe because one year it was on my tax return, like the 2 years ago, I did make under, but that's because again, I was studying here, like work wasn't my focus. And I can't imagine that, okay, 2 years ago would have an impact. Like that doesn't mean anything for this year. As long as this year is enough. To be honest, I think they were just looking for any reason to like deny me or something. I don't know. I think they can interpret the rules however they want. There's really no standard procedure for anything in Italy. So everything is like up to interpretation, which is really frustrating. So then I respond to his email because he said something like, okay, you have 2 options. You can either withdraw your application or, you know, accept the document that says your visa was denied. So I respond to him because I'm like, what are the implications of this? What does this mean if I withdraw my application or whatever? You know, again, give me more details. Basically, he explains that if I withdraw my application, it's as if, you know, I never applied in the first place. Otherwise, rejection will kind of go kind of on like a record type thing. So I basically was like, okay, so I think, you know, maybe this could potentially hurt me in the future if I apply for future visas. I don't know. So I said, okay, obviously I probably want to withdraw my application, like just that way there's no record of this. So I respond to him and I say, okay, and if I want to withdraw my application, what's that process? He says, you have to go back to the consulate to do that, you know, declaration in person and sign a document. If you really think I'm gonna go back to the consulate a third time, this is the thing with Italy is so frustrating. All this stuff, it has to be in person and, you know, hand signed and wet signature. Really? Really? And I was like, you've already wasted so much of my time and money, and now you want me to come back, you know? So I was like, this is just ridiculous. Like, this is beyond ridiculous. There's no way. Because at this point I was in Florida again. I'm not gonna buy a ticket to LA from Florida to do that. Plus, because then he goes, oh, then after we process that, then we'll give you your passport back. No, because at this point I had my flight in 2 or 3 days. So obviously I was like, I know I'm not gonna make it. So I just said to him, I don't even care about the rejection at this point. Like, I said, okay, I'm just gonna move ahead with the, because at this point my boyfriend was helping me. We were writing these emails in Italian. My boyfriend was helping me, and he would draft out these emails that were pretty mean, but like funny, but I mean, honestly, totally valid. And he would say stuff, you know, like snarky stuff, like, considering you've already wasted my time and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, I don't know, I just don't want to do that until I have my passport yet. Like, I don't want to be too snarky in the emails until they give me back my passport. So I'd have to like delete a bunch of it, even though, God, I wanted to send it so bad because it was so good. But I basically said, you know, considering I've already gone back to LA multiple times and I'm not currently in Los Angeles or Arizona, I will just move ahead with the rejection, you know, to send me the rejection. And then I also said, seeing that my original flight leaves in 2 days, and knowing that I will no longer be able to make that, can you please let me know when I can expect my passport? Because I acknowledge that, you know, it's not going to arrive in time for my flight, but I need to change my flight. So I need to know, is it coming next week, 2 weeks, a few days? You know, like, give me an idea, because I need to know when I need to change my flight, because I probably have to pay to change it. You know, I'm not going to change it to a few days if this could take weeks. Especially knowing Italians, it could take weeks. So you know what he says to me? He says, you won't be able to make your flight on Saturday. You should move your flight qualche giorno, which is like a few days, but that is so not specific. Like, qualche giorno, it could be 2, 3 days, it could be 5, so like, you really don't know. And also the fact that he said you're gonna miss your flight. I know, I acknowledge that. Like, my boyfriend was going crazy, and so was I. It was just so funny, because it's like, if you read the email chain, it's as if he doesn't even read my emails. Or like, he won't answer everybody. It's just like so infuriating. It's actually insane. And so we were going back and forth so many times for different things, when I'm like, all of the stuff he's saying could just be put into one email, one thing. Then my boyfriend is like, just ask him one question. Like, don't respond to any of the other stuff. Just ask him, are you sending my passport this day or this day? So finally he does that. Oh, and also in between these emails, it would take like a few days. Like, he wouldn't respond very quickly. Finally, they literally say, we're sending your passport tomorrow. You know, after like a week later, whatever, finally we get a day. The envelope is tracking, so I'm like, okay, I know for sure it's coming. But yeah, I had to change my flight, so I had to pay extra for that. So now more money. I did a TikTok video on how much this visa cost me. I think it was around like $1,400 with everything included after all of this stuff, like flight changes and everything. I ended up changing my flight like 3 weeks, because also that way, since I only had 90 days here, I could stay here. Like, I'm back in Italy now, through Christmas with my boyfriend and his family and that kind of stuff. So I ended up like moving my flight even further, because also when I had to move it, I didn't know when I would get my passport because they hadn't responded yet. And that is where we're at. And then I received, he said, okay, you'll receive the document about the official rejection. Like, they have to, I think, legally send you a document that explains why it was denied or rejected. And then you have to sign it. And he goes, so sign it and send it back to us. I'm like, oh my God. Like, mail it back to, you know, they don't do anything digital. I can't just like send a picture back. Just so funny. I was like, so I took my time with that. I signed it, but I didn't send it back before I left. I don't know. I told my parents like, oh, we have to send this back. And they were like, eh. Because I mean, hey, if they're not going to show me any sort of respect or like rushing to help me, I mean, it took all summer for them to schedule my second appointment. If you want the document, I'll send it when I want. Also, I don't really think it's important. I'm just acknowledging like, yeah, I was rejected. Okay. So whatever, I took my time with that. On that document, it does say that I can appeal, but I need to hire an Italian lawyer. and it needs to go through the Court of Rome, which can take a year, 2 or 3 years. So at that point, not worth it. Not worth it. More money that I need to spend. Probably would be faster if I just reapplied for the visa, which I don't think I'm gonna do because I've already wasted so much money and time. And like I said, booking an appointment or getting an appointment at the consulate is basically impossible nowadays. Like, it's even worse than when I got my first appointment. Not even gonna try to do that again. But yeah, so that's where we're at. So my visa was denied. I was super upset and depressed for weeks after that. Really terrible, because I was like, what am I gonna do with my life? I want to continue living in Italy. Came back here for my 90 days, and we're just gonna go from here and see what's gonna happen, because ideally I want to be here long term. Just don't know how that's gonna happen. Trying to figure out my different options, but not trying to rush into anything too fast and then like making more of a mess. I don't know. It's just like everything is so hard here in Italy. There's no clear answer of what the best option is. And then I'll go back home to Arizona with my parents, either like end of this year, around New Year's basically. My boyfriend and I are talking about a few different options where if you like live with your partner and you're in a committed relationship, you can get a type of residence permit, which I actually have a few friends who have done that. But typically you need to already have, the foreigner needs to already have a different type of residence permit, a different type of permesso di soggiorno, which is what all my friends did. Like when they came here on the study visa for the language school, then you convert it. Because in order to register your residence at the same place with your partner, you need to have a residence permit to get residence. You know what I mean? To like officially register your residence. And since I don't have that anymore, that could be the part that blocks us. But technically, I was reading some articles and some lawyers are like, actually it's not a requirement. Like, it's not technically part of that the foreigner needs to already be in possession of a residence permit. So we're gonna try to make an appointment with the actual comune, with the like town hall, and see what they say, because apparently some places don't care, or they'll still like register it, other places. So you really don't know, because again, like I said, there's no standard procedures for anything in Italy. So everything's different depending on the city or wherever you go. So we're gonna see what they say here in Bologna, because that would be the best option, because I mean, ideally we would live together anyways. I don't really think that we're ready for marriage. That's a lot, and I know a lot of people are like, just get married, but just get married is so, I don't know, such a weird thing to say to someone. It's something that I take very seriously, and I'm not just gonna do that so I can stay. It just feels very strange. So I don't really like when people tell me that or comment that. It just feels kind of frustrating for me. And that's something that's like very personal decision between me and my boyfriend. I think some people say it as a joke, but please don't. So that is my story. Now you guys are all up to date. As always, thank you so much for watching, and make sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss any future videos, and I will see you in the next one. Bye!